Thank you so much for taking the time to show up and watch. Let me make my adjustments here, see who's here already in the chat. James is here. Hello to you. Ben is here as well. Hello, hello. I hope you guys are doing good, doing fine myself. Let me make my usual adjustments here. Yeah, I like that better. Like I said, I'm still playing around with my lighting system here, but actually this seems to be working a little bit better this week. So let's take note of this and do this again. um, Glad that you guys are all here. As usual, while I'm waiting for people to join into the live stream, I will sort of recap what's been going on here upstairs to the right studio. Um, well, as you know, I've been waiting, anticipating for a second Parks caster of mine to finish. And, you know, it's interesting to me that finding parts is really a tough thing to do, especially, hold on, let me make an adjustment here. Especially when you're trying to do these Matty Two Hats. Michael Watson. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. I've been going through this, my trials and tribulations of trying to find parts for these parts casters that is just affordable and cheap. Frederick Rogers, Mr. Rogers in the house. Welcome. Good evening. Um, and one of the things, uh, so there's that. And I'm just waiting for that second one to get done because it's like there's something going on with Fern's supplier. He assures me it will be soon. But it's been going on about 6 weeks now. So this is a long one, but I'm not really minding it because I'm not hurting for it, but I am gassing for it, I have to admit. But just in the general topic of trying to put together parts casters and this new endeavor that I've gotten involved in, and really learning the ins and outs of that. It's an interesting thing itself. Again, especially if you're taking an attitude of trying to do it with stuff that you have maybe have laying around, some of it, the rest of it trying to purchase on the secondhand market as cheaply as possible. Now, with that said, of course, when you're putting together a parts caster, one thing that I've learned that's really a added bonus for you is if you know how to do body work. You know, working on guitars is like working on cars. It really is in some ways, you know. I don't drive anymore. I haven't actually really driven for years. Honestly, I know that's such an odd statement to make, but I haven't driven for years. But although it is no fun depending on somebody else's rides, but I've had some nice rides that I sat in the back seat of. So don't think that I'm complaining about that. That's not a complaint. But the situation has made me miss cars because I used to really dig working on them. I took a whole, my drivetrain on my Jeep snapped. I took it to a welder because I didn't have enough money at the time, and I welded, had him welded, and I put it back in my Jeep, and it ran just fine. And body work and doing stuff like that. So if you can work on cars a little bit, we used to have auto shop in junior high school in the 1970s. You had a home shop, you had auto shop, and a few other things that you could do as an elective. And I took, auto shop because I thought it was interesting. And I'm glad I did because it's paid benefits, especially when I'm working on these parts casters. Because it really, the more that I work on them, the more that I realize it really is quite similar to working on cars. It's really something. And because a lot of things you're like, oh, okay, a lot of the paints that you're using, certainly if you're painting your parts caster yourself, a lot of the paints that you're going to use are going to be really for automotives, for cars. And again, getting back into the history of fenders, for example, again, he meant them to be parts casters by the modular design that he did with them. He made them not set necks, something that you could take apart together yourself with a little bit of skill. as well as the colors that he was using. I do believe he was using DuPont for automotive colors at that time. That's why that particular red that everybody loves, that late 50s, early 60s Fender red, that was actually automotive DuPont color, I believe it was. And they just don't make that anymore because it's got like lead in it. That'll put you in the dirt real fast. Tommy Mac 16, happy Sunday to you too, sir. Thank you so much for showing up. They can't duplicate. They keep saying, "Oh, we've got that original, Fiesta Red, I believe it what it is." Don't quote me on that. We got that Fiesta Red for you guys, but it's never quite right. Even with those, if you find a pristine 50s or 60s that hasn't been in the sun a lot, been a case queen, you can clearly see that that's just something that I don't think that they can duplicate. But the point of this is that these paints that they're using are automotive paints, and so are you when you're repainting your guitar, mostly, primarily. And along with that, there's a lot of sanding and buffing and things like that that you would do, not just with paints, but also when you're working on wood surfaces, and certainly you would, like the case of my guitar neck, I had to do a bit of repair on that, a little bit of sanding. I've got a guitar coming in that's going to require a little bit of that as well, but those are simple things to do. But boy and howdy, they are not simple when the basic thing that you need in order to do a relatively simple job, and certainly if you don't know how to do it, there's YouTube out there. There's a lot of guys out there, great guys, that show you how to do it when you're doing either work on a car or on your guitar. Um, I'm going to call this opening segment tonight, It's the Little Things. Boy, there was a long intro into that. But I'm going to call this the little things because, boy, it's the little things that can trip you up. And it depends upon where you're at, where you live. In Singapore, because it's really an island, essentially it's got a connection there, but essentially it has the imports of an island. Maddie Two Hats just threw my toasted sandwich into the dishwater. How's your day going? Oh man, I know what you mean. Your wiring is reversed. You mean to do something, and then you do the complete opposite, and it ends in disaster. Trust me, as I get older, I do it a great deal myself. So my sympathies to you, Maddie. But when I was in Singapore, it's hard to get things because they either had it or they didn't. And if it wasn't something that was in great supply, you could find yourself with shortages like the first part of the CUF. If you wanted to get toner for your printer, and boy howdy did you need it if everybody was made too hot. Yeah, man, I'm with you on that. If you wanted toner for your printer because you had to work from home and you went to the office, local supplier, they didn't have it because it was sold out. It was all gone. And if you tried to bring it in, the VATs that were charged to it were very high as well. And it's the little things department. I'm going to talk about this. This is sandpaper. Now, this is something that most folks wouldn't take, even they take it for granted. They wouldn't think about twice. Say, oh, I need some sandpaper. I'll just go down to the whatever and pick up some. Well, here in the Netherlands, it's a little bit of a different story. See, not a lot of the hardware shops carry a variety of sandpaper. They may have one or two types, certainly. But they're certainly not going to have grades like this is an 800. The highest grade that you can find here. And when you're doing work on guitars, you're doing wet dry, and you want to work the grits down, and you're trying to achieve a certain amount of level. Smoothness there, but you need to be able to get a little bit higher than 800. Most shops will have 800 and no higher. Some shops will have 1200. but that's it. And even if you go online and you try, well, I don't want to order it from outside the EU because I don't want to incur, a VAT on $6 worth of sandpaper. But you look around online here, and the highest that they go here online, even so, is about 1,200, and I need a little bit higher than that. So it's a weird thing that this is, trying to source, and it's one of those situations where the what do they call it? The genie is out of the bottle. I know if I go to Temu, I could probably find what I'm looking for in terms of sandpaper. Do I want to use, Temu sandpaper? Probably not. Probably not. There is that. But if I use eBay, again, there's shipping costs and things on that incur. I don't think there'll be a VAT on that. I hope not. But just looking for finer, a little higher grade of grit sandpaper is just turning into, again, trying to find this piece or that part or this neck or that body or it's like, holy moly, you know. And it wasn't until today I was doing some housework and doing some hanging pictures and doing some light carpentry around the house. And I took a second look. I was actually filming today, and I'll get into that in a minute. But I was filming the opening part of me starting to work on that parts caster a bit. And I started looking at the body as I had all the parts together. And I said, you know what? I know I can do a better job getting these fills because I had to fill in the holes, well, with dowels and then sand that down. I'm just not satisfied. I really would like to try to get that down a little bit. And I know I can do it with a higher grit sandpaper, but unfortunately, I am blocked. I am denied because I have looked around, and it is actually truly, it's a weird thing. In the States, I'm sure. In the UK, I'm sure that you're probably not going to run into this kind of problem unless you're really out in the countryside in either case. But that really, threw me for a loop because trying to source, like 2400 grits sandpaper is like looking for gold when you're living here in the Netherlands. And I'm sure that there's Fern and guys like that. They have their source. I guess I could talk to him. I don't want to go to Fern for every time I have a question or something like that. I find that it's best to try to figure it out on your own. But it's just, that Temu genie is calling me, and I said I wasn't going to order anything from them anymore. Even deleted the app off my phone. But yeah, it just keeps circling back to that because there's no shipping charge on that. There's no VAT on that, and they're offering it probably for like $2 for everything that I need. So it's a tough one, guys, but it's the little things. So while, like I said, I'm warming up the live stream here, I thought I would talk about my woes for what went on this week here at the studio. Me trying to source sandpaper. You wouldn't think about that. I don't know how it is for you guys out there. You can sound off in the chat if you've had any experiences like that. Trying to source something, or down in the comment section, trying to source something that you would think is relatively simple, and it's not. It's just like those tuners. It's turning out to be a 6-week journey with them. Well, a little forgetfulness on Fern's part mixed in that, but that's forgivable. That's forgivable, certainly. So there's that. Okay. One thing that I have not really touched upon so far, and I'll change that today. Briefly, tonight we're gonna be all around the place. There's nothing really linking any of this stuff together. I wanted to keep it a little bit lighter tonight, and just, well, maybe this next one not so well, maybe, I don't know. But I haven't really touched upon the new Epiphone lineup. I haven't talked about it. I know a good friend to this channel, Three Chord Dave, has touched upon it and given his thoughts. I've had the opportunity to dip into his live streams. I actually listened to his live stream, I think the last one or the one before that, with my earphone plugs in as I was going to sleep. And Dave actually has a very soothing voice, but I wanted to hear what he had to say. And and but I haven't touched upon it. I haven't gotten into it. And it's a continuation of the Inspired by Gibson collection. When and why not? You don't, change horses mid-race. I mean, and this is definitely a thoroughbred that's in first place. It's doing really well. That, the Inspired by Gibson collection by Epiphone, and the Squire CV line, I think in the case of one continuing and one when it first started, were priced at just the right place for not just home, musicians or non-pro musicians, but pro musicians as well. I think they both of those. Again, like I said, one of the biggest viewed videos on my channel is me comparing the Epiphone Les Paul Standard 59 with my Gibson Les Paul Standard 60s that I had at the time. And I had a lot of time to really just really play them back and forth through my amp. At that time, I just had my Laney, but it's a damn good amp, and just play them back and forth, and feeling and looking at all the variables in it, and just came to the conclusion that the Epiphone 59 was a better value judgment. It was a better value offer. Not so much so now. The Squire, and I'll get into that in a minute here. The Squire CV line, I don't know what their 2024 pricing is. I don't know if they're even continuing that. I assume that they will. Again, like I said, they had such a great success with that line that it'd be unwise for them not to. But certainly here with the 2024 Epiphone Inspired by Gibson collection, most of them now carry the Gibson open book headstock. Again, we've talked about the Japanese made Epiphones that had this headstock on them from the 1980s through the early 90s. But how Gibson really kept a leash on that in terms of Epiphone, in terms of the wider market. Well, guess what, kids? Now it seems that the Inspired by Gibson line that's coming out, most of them have the Epiphone line. Most of them have Gibson headstocks, and we saw that with the recent Adam Jones release that it had that, and it had custom headstock on it. Gibson had a custom headstock on it. And for them to continue this on down the line is great. However, let's start with the before mentioned Les Paul Standard 1959. Now, I paid, let me do a little bit of Google search here, actually start page in my case. I paid at that time, so that was 2020. I got one of the first ones that hit Europe, actually. And I paid 700 euros for that. And at that time, that was roughly $754. And that was a screaming bargain. New from a dealer, $750. That's what I paid for mine. The 2024 model is coming in at $1399 according to the data that I have in front of me. And to make that kind of jump is astounding to me. I guess that, let me do a little calculation on that too. Hold on, guys. I'm going to do a little calculation here on that. The percentage. Let's see what we got. All right, that's not coming up for me, but that's quite a jump. That is a significant jump. I have to tell you that I was surprised to see it at $13.99. Now, granted, it has the Gibson headstock on it. Okay, great. I remind you, so is that in euros or dollars? That's dollars. So it's going to be about 1350 euros. Let's just say, just to be fun with it. I remind you that my Stoner guitar, made, in my opinion, with higher quality woods, without question, that had the Gibson headstock on it, because the guys over the guys who made the Stoner guitars, they licensed with Gibson in order to have their guitars to be able to have that headstock on them. And it was 1,000 euros guitar, 1,100 euro guitar. Did it come with a case? No, but I can get a case that works for that. A Fairley case, or a Fairley case will cost you about 70 euros. So now we're up to 1170. And I would put that guitar against even this fine one that Epiphone came out with, the same headstock now eventually. And so again, when I start to look at these Epiphones as a value, kind of proposition, it's a surprising thing, because these prices really are getting to the point where I am really seriously seeing that they may not be a great value proposition for me. The ES3 55. Now, as you know, I recently purchased a 1978 Yamaha 335. And this 78 Yamaha 335 is just perfect. It's really well made, and this one is in great condition. Needs a little bit of cosmetic work on the headstock, like I said. If I can find the right sandpaper, I can work on that when it comes in and make it look like you would never know it was there. But I just look at the price of that 355 that I just bought, the Yamaha from 1978. In another 6 years, it will be a true vintage guitar. I'm moving to the 1970 period, and 70 guitars will be considered to be true vintage guitars. Its value will certainly continue to go up. But even that guitar can be had out there on the market for $1,000, and that's a 78 well-made Japanese. You can't go wrong. At $14.99, almost $1,500 US for the Epiphone 355. And I had a 335. This is the 355. Excuse me, guys. It's late. Let's just call it what it is. But anyway, I paid for a 335. These can be had for around 800 euros or so, or less if you know where to look. For them to be looking for $14.99 for this 355 is it's off the charts. And I remind you that the Gibson equivalent of the 335, those are 3,300, not 3,195, I do believe last time I checked. Wow, that's something. Um, Blue fans, hi everyone. I'm a little late getting on here today. I hope everyone is doing well. We're doing fine, Blues fan. Thank you so much for showing up there. Maddie, two hats. I sell both Epiphones and Fenders. I can report as a boomer parents purchasing them. Kids have no hope to afford them. Yeah, that's exactly my point. I mean, and so what do we say? It's getting to the point where Harley Bentons are going to be your go-to, and because they're filling in that void that both the Squire line and the Epiphone line used to fill in. And honestly speaking, it's just surprising to me, these prices. And again, as a value propositions, I throw out my 335 Yamaha because it's a vintage Yamaha, dang well near. B, it's you got to know it's really well made. I mean, this is a killer guitar in terms of fit and finish. And just as a value proposition, its cost is a screaming deal, even still, even in this day. So I just really am just surprised by these prices as I go through. Again, I didn't touch upon this. I didn't talk about this too much. And today I was looking at these prices, and I was really surprised. The SG Custom 3 pickup is going for $13.99. The Les Paul Custom is going for $14.99, same price as the 355. Again, I mentioned that the Les Paul Standard 1959 is now a whopping $13.99. Wow, that's just insane. They have a Firebird 1 and 2, $12.99 and $13.99 respectively. Um, these are coming up here in a few weeks. The Adam Jones just hit the streets this past week, and that's clocking in at $14.99. So again, just a $400 premium on that 2024, just so that Les Paul 1959, just so that you finally get that Gibson headstock. $400. That's a heck of a premium, man. I don't think that the guys, I'm sure they licensed out quite a bit, but I don't think it worked out to $400 a guitar, and they certainly built a lot less of them than than Epiphone is. So that's a heck of a problem. All the other specs stay the same. It's not like they're going to be putting in a set of Gibson Burstbucker 2 and 3 in there that's any different than the boy, I hate that Burstbucker 2 and 3 that were already in there. I think that and then when you go into euros with those prices, zoop, it goes up even more than that. That was USD. I didn't even get to even calculate what that's going to be in euros. So no, as was pointed out there, it's really Maddie. I got you, Maddie. Maddie's reporting from the front lines, and he said I sell both Epiphone and Fender, and I can report it's boomer parents. So you have that. Ben says, what's funny is after seeing the Gibson headstock on the Epi, I think I prefer the 2021. I said that. I'm with you on that. I said it's just weird. I don't know. I kind of dug the 21 headstock. The 2021 headstock. I dug that. I thought that was fine. I had no issues with that. But they sure are charging a premium on that. $400 on that. Like I said, I wanted to look up and see what percentage that was because I'm just too tired to calculate in my head, but that's up there. That's hefty. That's hefty. That's hefty. It's like 40, 35, 38, 40%, 42%. That's hefty, man. So I just am blown away by that. Ben Allmark. It will be interesting to see if they stick with the Gibson headstock or not. No, because again, these are CNC machines, so they knew they were going to do this, so they had to set them up, and it takes a lot to get them set up, and once they get those set up, and it costs a lot to change up too and change back as well, even in China. So they'll probably keep rolling with this, and this is just the excuse, the marketing excuse that has been in the wings, I suspect, to justify these price increases on these Epiphones. What used to be, because they lured you in, with that 2021 line, build up a lot of buzz on it, and then they just, they bumped the price up there significantly. So yeah, I just go through this 2024 line and just look at the the prices, and maybe I did write those. I can't remember if I wrote those again. If these prices are in euros or if they're in dollars, but either way, the point is that they are significant price increases on these instruments from where they used to be, and I just don't know where they're justifying it. So there's that. There's that. And that's about all I have to say about that subject, to be honest with you. I am intrigued, I guess is the word I could use, with the Adam Jones model. It would be cool if they started coming with customs, that had more interesting colors than just black and white. But I still think that price wise, it's just it's out of my ballpark for me. And there's too many vintage guitars out there that are way cooler, way more value proposition to me than this 2024 line. It's just the way I see it. The way I see it, she said, you just can't win it. Little Joni Mitchell there. Maddie Two Hats. I'm kind of done with Chinese guitars costing $2,000 Australian. It's just a wild time. Yeah, like I said over here in euros, it's insane. And it's not too sweet of a sandwich in the States and everywhere else at this point either. But it is the way of the world, kids. And again, I looked at that because I didn't pay much attention to it. But I listened to what Three Chord Dave had to say, and I said, wow, And I'm not surprised because we've talked about this coming, but it is just, who are they selling these to? I understand selling Fenders and Gibsons to boomers, but are boomers, was that really the intended market for these Epiphones and Squier, or at least in this case these Epiphones? Again, I don't know about Squier. Was that the case with these Epiphones? To also start marketing to boomers as well? And if I'm a boomer and I have that kind of, which there's that. Again, what's going on there? Maddie Two Hats. There are really good alternatives around though. Yeah. Ario Pro makes amazing affordable electronics and great acoustics. Exactly. You can find some great Ario Pro. I was looking at Ario Pro 2s the other day. Believe it or not. Old ones. I was looking at the other day. Quite a few of them. And yeah, I can vouch for that for sure. Again, guys, if you're going to pull the trigger, don't buy the new shiny toy, in the store. Do a little digging around, and you'll save some money, and you'll find yourself something that if you dig around enough, and if you go on the safari and you dig around enough, beat the bushes enough, you're gonna find some really cool things, and a fraction of the price, and make more sense, and they'll play just as well as whatever the alternative is at a higher price. So there's that. That's all I have to say about the 2024 Epiphone line. So we could scratch that one off. Title of tonight's show, I heard rock was on the come up. I was listening to Rick Beato's recent show where he was giving the stats on what genres of music are doing well and which ones are doing not so well. And I hit it upon briefly in my last live stream that rap is indeed falling off, a 24% drop recently. Again, someone said down in the comment section of that live stream that it is Occam's theorem that 90% of the stuff out there is garbage. Something along those lines. Maybe I'm butchering that, maybe not. But in rap, it almost got to 99%. The saturation of the bad was up to here, and that's reflected in the numbers. But surprisingly, rock and country, with rock of country being a little bit higher, but rock and country are beginning to go on the ascendancy again. Well, has the tide turned on that one? Interesting. And I'm happy about the rock thing. I would really, really like to take a look. He didn't break down to exactly what kind of rock is involved there. Is it, what are they labeling rock? Would it be something that us in this community would consider to be rock, or will we give it the thumbs down? So there is that. Yeah, the term rock is used really super loosely these days. Look at the recent inductees to the so-called Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They might as well just call it the American Music Hall of Fame. Just leave it. They can't even do that because there's a lot of British groups in there. Because it's fallen so far from rock. And there's a lot of rock groups that you think would be inducted by now, but they're not. And they're getting piggyback jumped over by rap groups, which some of them deserve awards because they're fantastic, certainly ones from the back in the day, but also other groups that were pop groups, essentially. And it has nothing to do with rock. So that term rock gets thrown around real loosely these days. So I will say that much. Ben Olmark. In my opinion, I believe the rock Rick was referring to was old classic rock that's downloaded off Spotify. Yeah, I do believe that he was talking in one section about that aspect of it. Anthony's in the house. Hello, sir. I always wonder, why had the brand name Oreo Pro 2? Was there ever an Oreo Pro 1? I know, huh? Was there? Nah. Was there? Let's look that up. Oreo Pro 1. Let's see what comes up. No. Maybe like the Pro 1 was like, they were, in the guitar shop and they were all Japanese guys, in their lab coats and they're like observing this finished thing and they're smoking cigarettes and they're like, これは多分ダメですね. じゃあ we start again. Let's go back to the drawing board. Maybe something like that, I imagine. It's possible. Let's see. What's next here? Yeah, so rock, in that term rock gets thrown around super loose, and I even the fact that it is older rock, that classic rock, so-called classic rock, that seems to be the predominant that's on the rise there again, what does that speak to going forward? Again, I'm looking for clues for things going forward. I was hopeful that those stats were around rock music popularity growing, also from new music as well, but Again, it's pointed out there, and maybe I wasn't paying the attention that I should have to that. But if it's just classic rock, that's a little disappointing. That gets back to what we've talked about before. Anthony says they always make great guitars for the money. Yeah. Again, a guitar that you can find out there on the market right now. Candy Apple Red, an REO Pro 2 will run you about 200 pounds. So what is that? 256 euros, something like that. Right. I wanted to beat it. I wish you guys could see this one. REO Pro Jet 1. I mean, it's, what do you got here in terms of specs? This thing's spec'd out. It's made from Popular. That's okay. It's got a maple neck. Hey, guess what, kids? It's got a rosewood fretboard on it. For 200 pounds, rosewood fretboard. What's going on there, Epiphone? How now, Brown Cow? And it's a beautiful guitar. If you guys haven't checked it out, just for shits and giggles, as they say, taking a look at that. And I agree with you, Sir Anthony, that it is indeed a beautiful guitar. And you can have and it's got a rosewood fretboard on it. Again, one of the cool things, again, about the older guitars is the materials that are used. You sure find out on that vintage guitar whether or not that bridge is collapsing on you or not, if they did a good enough job. I found that out with that last vintage Greco that I had. But if it does hold up, then you've got yourself a well-built guitar that will go on forever as long as you treat it right. So there is that. And again, with materials that are, again, Indian laurel, I don't mind it. I don't. I actually really got used to it. Do I prefer it over rosewood? No. Do I prefer rosewood? Yes, obviously. And to see this guitar at this price with a rosewood fretboard on it and a maple neck, what's going to How Now, Brown Cow, Epiphone? It makes you scratch your head and say, So anyway, getting back to her, rock was on the come up. Again, I'm looking for any hopeful signs there. Excuse me. I'm looking for a sign. I'm looking for a vision. I'm looking for something that tells me that it's on the ascendancy in terms of us getting back to bands, us getting back to, guitar solos. Yeah, let's just start with that. A good guitar solo. And I'm always looking around, and when I saw that for Brick Beato, I thought, okay, well maybe. But on the other hand, the fact that even if it's downloads, the fact that rap, especially this iteration of rap, because it has nothing to do with hip hop from when I was growing up. Those are two different things. I will listen to hip hop when I was growing up till I die, because it's great music. Great music. The stuff today, garbage. But if it's fallen off, I'm happy to hear that stat. Mickey in the house. Good evening, sir. Late tonight, hey, better late than never, as I always say, Mickey, and I'm so glad you took the time to show. We're just shooting the breeze tonight. Like I said, I'm covering a lot of different topics tonight. No serious threads of anything tonight. Now, guys, moving on. So anyway, like I said, the rock and roll, and that ties into what I was saying about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Because I looked at that list of inductees, and I don't take any merits away from the work of those people. But again, if we're getting to what the original chartered spirit of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is, we've fallen really far away from that. Super far. Like, uber far away from that. And the fact that there are still a lot of rock groups out there, like rock groups, classic rock groups, hey, they're on the ascendancy, remember? That still haven't made it into the Hall of Fame, and a lot of it has to do with politics, is just astounding to me. You know, it's astounding. And yet people who are not rock and roll are not in that hall, are in the Hall of Fame. So again, just something I throw out there. The term rock these days is thrown awfully loosely. Um, Guess what came in the mail finally? I said that I was going to be putting out a video this week featuring this, but I can't put out a video if I don't have the product. It's one of those things. And Amsterdam mail service is notoriously slow. My regular guy, Mr. McDougal, if you're out there listening, bless your heart. I know you're not feeling well. I haven't seen you in a while, but I'm missing you, buddy, because the mail ain't right these days. It's just not right. But I finally got the earplugs in uh, from Loop. And not only did I get one, but I got several of their headphone, their earplugs. And I shot a video for these today. It's going to be a little bit different format from my usual videos because I like this company. Now, this was not a paid promotion. They didn't pay me to cover this. They did send these to me for free, but I could shoot. They didn't send me a list of things like a lot of the people who asked me to do promotions, at least they used to. When I started saying no enough, they stopped. Where, oh, shoot it at this angle, you got to mention it this many times. None of that. They said, hey, put a camera on and give your honest testimonial to what you think about our earplugs. And I said, fair enough. I like that concept. But I, of course, wanted to shoot it very nicely, so I did shoot that today. Actually, I shot 2 videos today. The second one I'll get into in a minute. But I shot that today. I haven't edited. I've got all the loose footage here. It's all there. The parts are all there. I just need to bring it all together. And so certainly when I'm done here tonight, as soon as I hang up the phone here with you guys, I will get to editing that so that I can get that out tomorrow. But I will briefly say, just as a preview, I'm super impressed with these Loop earplugs. You know, uh, man, some of the loudest experiences that I've had is during garage rehearsals when I was growing up as a kid. We had drums, bass, guitar, keyboards, you know, not high end stuff at all, but it worked. It did the trick. And it would get louder. And even then, I would come out and I would notice this ringing in my ear. Tinnitus, I believe, is the term for it. And even then, I knew this is no good because I need my ears. So I would go to lengths of sticking tissue paper in my ears. Sometimes, and we're talking about the 80s and the 90s here, so we didn't have anything even close to this, okay? There was no such thing as, iPods or anything like that, man. Headphones were like this big, and that was what you were working with. You looked like Princess Leia walking down the street with those things on from Return of the Jedi. I mean, they were massive to match that big boom box you had. So they didn't have anything like this. So you had to improvise is what I'm trying to, the point of that story. And I improvised a lot when I was working in recording studios. And we're talking about, again, first class recording studio, or that a lot of albums that you may know or certainly have heard it came out of, even in those recording studios, professional situations. I noticed more than enough that a lot of the engineers were doing things to protect their ears. And I found that to be interesting. That was their main concern all the time. Hey, don't blow out my ears. You know, I remember one guy saying it. So to have products like this available now, and all 3 of these have different functions to them. This one is the Loop Experience Plus, and this is the one that I cover in the video. This one would be one of the primary ones that would speak to us. as musicians. This thing cuts out about 20 dB worth of floor noise out of your ear canal, and it brings basically taking the boominess out of any live situation, any practice situation, any confined room where it's just super loud, or even in an arena where you got 1,000,000,000,000,000 people screaming plus the band. This thing cuts out all the boominess. You still does a little dip in the mids to my ear, keeps the highs there. I don't know how they do it, but it keeps it there. So you have a lot of clarity when you're listening with these to protect your ears in loud environments, situations like that. For sleeping, I've actually taken to using these. I started experimenting these going to sleep at night. Not that this is quiet, so this is about as loud as it gets. But I have meowing cats. I have a Shiba Inu that likes to get up in the middle of the night and walk along, and I have wooden floors, so it's tap, 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 and I am an extremely light sleeper. And I have found that wearing these the last few nights, when I do finally get to sleep, it is a very deep, quiet sleep, and they're comfortable to wear. And so I will be covering those this week. And I just think that they're awesome. I should show them to you guys. Here's the other one. This is the Engage Plus. This would also be good for if you're working in nightclubs. If you're roadie, if you're a roadie, a guy like that, you need to hear conversations between you and other people in order to take signals and directions, but you still want to hear less of that boominess. You want to get that cut. These cut 16 dBs out of the boominess, but they still allow you to be able to have conversations with people. So very interesting. Not expensive. Cost you about $40. They come in a pretty cool case here. Also, they give you a wide selection of ear pieces to get it so that it fits as best and snugly as possible to your particular ear canal. Everybody's ear canal is a different size, and these guys have given you can mix and match, in two colors no less. What you want to do in terms of making them fit as comfortably and snugly as possible. And you can wear them for a long time. I wear them overnight, and I didn't wake up having that ear fatigue or ache that you get from wearing these in your ears for long periods of time. Again, really well designed, and I just, for ear protection, I really wish I had these years ago. Certainly, as a producer working in a studio, I need my ears when I'm doing mixes. I have to have my hearing, and I tried to protect it. Boy, I just wish I had something like this 20 years ago. This is quite something. So I will be covering that in a video a little bit more in depth this week, but I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of a preview of that. What I had in store for that. So there is that. Let's see, where are we at here? You know, getting back to the parts casters, I've been kind of on a mission in terms of understanding single coil pickups a little bit. Well, I wouldn't say that I don't understand them, but I will say that I don't have the depth of knowledge that I would have with humbuckers, for example. And single coil pickups, my experience, of course, have been primarily with Telecasters. And I didn't get into a lot of swapping with my Fender Telecaster because I like the pickups. So there wasn't a lot of exploring or any kind of swapping or anything that leads to exploring that I felt the need to do there. I've done it with my Squire Telecaster. I swapped the pickups there. But with these Strats, that's kind of a new territory for me. I know what I like. I know what I think is a beautiful sound, a good sound. And I know what a Strat sounds like, certainly. So those are good starting points. But I've been kind of on a quest to find what is a good configuration of Strat pickups for one of the parts casters that I'm building. Now, with the third part caster that I'm building, as you know, I've actually decided that I'm going to go with a HH configuration on it, and I'm going to be using my Dry Z pickups. So I'm swapping the ceramic pickups out, and I'm going to be replacing them with these Dry Z pickups that I had custom made in Croatia. I'll be changing the colors of the knobs, so the knobs will become off-white just like this with black lettering on them. So from an aesthetic standpoint, it'll look very nice. And I understand humbuckers very well. The case of my other two parts caster Strats, well, they're really Squires. Well, no, one is a Squire, in my opinion, 100%, because it's all Squire parts on it. The other one, it's a parts caster, it's a Squire parts caster. But both of them have ceramic pickups on it, and I like the sound of both of them. But the one of them, the one I currently have, I am considering looking into putting in maybe something else, because the one, as soon as Fern gets it done, knock on wood, that has ceramic pickups in it as well, and I would like to have some Alnico pickups in at least one of these. That's single coil. And so I've been kind of on a mission, just listening to sounds as we do on YouTube. It's not the best place because of the compression with YouTube on things, but just listening to YouTube, listening to different pickups, and just kind of getting a feel for it and keeping a budget in mind as well. And I came across this one recipe for the best setup, according to this person, for you to achieve that 1970s quack. If you guys don't know what that means, that's kind of like that, oh gosh, you hear it in Prince's When You Were Mine, for example. He was playing a Telecaster or Mad Cat in that, but you hear a little bit of that single coil quack in that song, in the guitar parts. And that's what they're talking about. And certainly the Mad Cat was more closer to a Stratocaster than a Telecaster, so that's why you got that quack out of it. But anyway, that's a sound that a lot of people find desirable. I think that in the parts caster that Fern has hostage, I'm kidding, that the ceramic pickups from that have that quack to them. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to put, they were in an Affinity, a 2001 Affinity. I wanted to put them in a full body guitar. So I just basically took all the parts from that and bought a full size Strat body for it. Because I think that those are just some even better than the ones I have in the SC pickups that I have in there for the Strat I have available right now. They're really good sounding pickups. So I want to experiment with Alnico pickups. Mickey Newman says, Mike, listen, Tone Rider City Limit pickups, absolutely amazing sound, especially with a .47 tone cap. Well, I like that so much, I'm actually going to write that down. City Limits. Yeah, I got you with the tone cap. But this recipe, this one guy suggests that you go with Alnico 5s, you go with an underwound neck and an underwound middle pickup. And you go 2K on the neck, 3K in the middle, and 5K with the bridge pickup. And this, according to this person, will give you this. because when you switch to the 2 position in that, you're actually going to be playing less than 2K on that. And so, yeah, you're going to allow a low output quack out of those. And according to this person, that is the formula, the magic formula, for achieving the 70s Fender sound. Now, you'd have to be a winder to find this out in order to create this, because that's not a configuration you're going to find out on the market. Or I could contact Q Pickups and say, hey, could you wind me a set that's like this? This is just described. Get in the mail and pray that, this guy just wasn't, pranking, and that it actually sounds like the recipe that he swears by. He said, hey man, this is what I do. Again, your mileage may vary, but there's that option too, but that's not inexpensive. So 2K is super low, even for a vintage Strat. Yeah, I agree. But again, he says it's 2K, 3K, 5. I thought amazing too. That pair of Strat pickups that I rejected. I don't even think you guys got to see them, because the minute I put them in the Strat in there and came home, I had Fern do the wiring on that. I came home and hit that first chord. I put the guitar down, called Fern, and said, I'm coming back to the shop. Swap them back. And those were super low output pickups. Super low. But he swears by this formula. He says that this configuration will give you that sound. Yeah, that's what I mean. So Mickey says, but it could be super interesting. Try it. That's what I mean. It's so tempting. It's so interesting. But again, you'd have to be a winder, have a good mate that's a winder, or like I said, to go with the option and go to Croatia and have Q pickups. And I bet you they would charge you about 150 euros to do that experiment, which is not bad. It's just still not, maybe about 100. I'm not unsure about that. About 150 to do an experiment like that. And you kind of get into, well, do I want to do that? Or, do I want to go onto YouTube later on today or tomorrow and listen to the City Limits? Let's see what those sound like. But there's that. So I am on the market for, and again, somebody kill me. Somebody just shoot me now. Because I'm on another rabbit hole, isn't it? It's just yet another rabbit hole. And I'm not tone chasing because, I'll be honest with you, a Strat is a Strat is a Strat. When you hear it, you know what it is. When you listen to Jesse's Girl, that's a Strat. When you hear that tone, there's no questioning that. And there's not a lot of deviation you can go for that until you start getting into, again, the HH configuration, stuff like that. And even then, still, it's just a riff on the same riff. It's a riff of a riff. Maybe a little bit more beefed up, but still. There's not a lot of variation there. So I'm not going to go off the deep end. I'm sure there's variation there between the Alnico 2 magnets, the Alnico 3 magnets, the 5 magnets, things like that. Everybody seems to think that Alnico 5 is the bee's knees for Strats. There's that. Paulo Lan is in the house. Welcome. Thank you so much for showing up. I am so glad to see you. Thank you. Says, if you are looking for some good custom pickups, there is a guy in Ohio, USA that builds great pickups for a great price. Not sure about shipping out of US, but it might be worth a look. I will take a look at that. If you have a name for that, you can share with all of us. That'd be awesome. Now, my problem over here is always the VAT. Bootstrap pickups. I know Bootstrap. I've heard of Bootstrap. I've heard of them. I've had to. I know I have. I'll have to take a closer look. Now, the problem over here in Europe is the VAT. Plain and simple. It really comes down to the VAT, man. And so that's why you want to try to do stuff as localized as possible. Again, getting back to my opening diatribe about sandpaper and trying to not pay 20 euros for 5 euros worth of sandpaper when it all gets said and done. And it comes the same with pickups. You want to try to do it locally or on a trip to the States, grab them up, snap them up. Boy, when I go to Japan, certainly I am going to be bringing back a guitar or two. But one of the big things that I will be bringing up and stocking up on are pickups because there's a wide variety over there. If you know what you're looking for, you can get some great ones cheap, bring them over here. If you want to flip them, you can do that. If not, you want to stick it in your toolbox like I tend to do myself. Uh, they're going to be my main thing. And now I'll be buying not just humbucker pickups, but also Strat pickups as well. So it's exciting. But that's really what I'm looking forward to. Hopefully that will be coming up, guys, here in May or June. I will be actually going to Japan. It looks like. Konnichiwa. I had to do the opening of my thing for this in Japanese, guys, with the new video. So don't be surprised to see me speaking Japanese. I actually do. I read and write and speak Japanese. I would hope so after 18 years cumulatively there. That I would have picked up something. Certainly, if I wanted to go out on a date when I was younger, it would have helped. So there's no misunderstandings. Just kidding, kind of. Um, but yeah, I've fallen down another rabbit hole with these these Strat pickups. But again, excuse me, I'm sorry. I am not, I don't have it twisted, as they say in that vernacular. Strats are Strat. You're not going to fall too far a variation from the Strat tone. It all really depends upon how much you want to soften that tone. Now, on my Squire Strat in there, I wired the tone knob to go to the bridge pickup and left the middle pickup wide open because it sounds best wide open anyway. You're really not farting around with the tone knob on that middle pickup, that middle position anyway. And it sounds great. If you get the heights, adjust the heights on that pickup just right, it's great. And with that control on the bridge pickup, the tone control on that, you can go to town, dude. You can just with that configuration, you can get in the right speaker, right amp, you can get into humbucker territory, a close enough approximation. It would fool most ears in a recording. If you have a good one, heading out to see John Five, who's in my local venue. Yeah, have a great one, man. These would come in handy maybe during that. I wish you had a set of these. Maybe these are going to end up as a giveaway. I'm actually thinking, guys, here might be giving these away to you guys. We'll be doing a drawing probably coming up on these loop, not the ones I wore. I wouldn't do you like that. But I have enough here. I might give one or two of them away so you can experience it. We'll see. Something I'm thinking about. I don't see why not. Yeah, have a good show. Enjoy the show there, Anthony. But yeah, it's still a rabbit hole, nevertheless. But I'm not gonna fall too far. I will experiment. I am setting a budget on how much I will spend for a set of single coil pickups, 3 single coil pickups. I want to buy a set. I don't want to mix and match. And quite frankly, it's not above 100 euros. A whole lot less than that. In Japanese yen, a lot less. Ichiman yen, so about 70 euros. And they can be had there. So I'm gonna wait for my Japan trip before I do anything. Again, like I said, the ceramic pickups, the original SE ceramic pickups that are in that guitar are 21 years old. And they sound great, as I said before. I don't want to be the one to mess that formula up after 21 years. So I'm happy with it now, but I am looking into it. So it's interesting. But I'm not going to go into it like I did with humbuckers. You guys have been here for a great deal of my humbucker gas. And we ain't going to be repeating that with Strat pickups. No way. Mickey Newman, which Strats are the new pickups going to be for, Mike? It's going to be for my, what I'm calling my Squire Strat. So it's that 2003 Squire UK Euro only starter pack release Squire SE 100 body that I put the 2001 Affinity neck that I reworked. I consider that to be a Squire Strat because all the parts, all the electronics, all of that are Squire on that thing. So I refer to it as a Squire Strat. The second white one that Fern has been working on for a while here, I consider that to be a parts caster because the body is not a Squire body. And this third one, again, yes, it's a Squire. It's actually a Squire body, but it's not a Squire neck. So these are parts casters. But I refer to the first one really as my Squire because, in my opinion, it's all Squire from the same factory, from the same period of time. And so that's the one that I'm going to put these in. I'm going to continue whatever it is. When I put in the new pickups in that one, I am going to, again, keep it wired with the tone control on the bass pickup, on the bridge pickup. I'm doing that because, like I said, the one that Fern's working on, the ceramic pickups on that are from a 2001 Affinity. The 2001 Affinity ceramic pickups are well known for sounding beautiful. As a matter of fact, there is a song by, oh God, I should know his name. Who's that guy? Baby, baby, baby. So all it said was, just, you know, he was a child singer and he's kind of got a little loopy recently. Anyway, that guy, one of his more recent songs, the guy who did that track used the 2001 Squire Affinity. And those pickups are just, they're well known out on the forums. It's just that particular year, for some reason, if you can find one, a 2001 Squire Affinity, the pickups are superb. And so they're ceramic. So I don't need two sets of ceramic pickups. So long-winded there a little bit there, Mickey, but that's the one. It's going to be the Squire that I'm going to put Alnico 5s in. Benny Larson. I have two sets from Bootstrap pickups that I haven't installed yet, but they look like they're made high quality. They're made of high quality materials. You know, boutique quality. And hello, yeah. I was about to say, man, you just dipped in there without saying hello. What's up with that? No, just kidding. Hello, sir. Yeah. Again, when you get into these boutique winders like these guys at Q Pickups, I mean, this is the real deal. This is really high quality. You know, these Dry Z copies, Dry Z type. They don't like to use the word copy at Q Pickups for these, but super high quality materials in the finest set of pickups. That's why I've held these in the Burstbucker 2 or 3s from one of my previous. These are the only sets of humbuckers that I keep around, and I don't want to put the Burstbuckers in this one because I really want to go with the color combination, and the Burstbuckers are blacks just like that, and plus I like these better. I want to go with Alnico 3 when I can. I'll find a home for that bus set of Burstbucker 2 and 3. They're sitting here in this case someday, somewhere. Not today. But yeah, the boutique pickup quality is just awesome. I mean, I can't say anything about the quality of Q Pickup stuff. I've been super impressed with it. I've been super happy with what they've done with these. And I would order again, and I am seriously considering, I have, just to try for, you know, again, shits and giggles, that formula that guy posted about being, you know, the way to go. And it's intriguing to me. It doesn't sound right on paper, but it could also be awesome. And so I threw it out there for those of you who picked up on that to see if it's something that you want to investigate. Then maybe you'll spend the money, you can tell me and save me the cash. No, Mike, go ahead. You go figure that one out and let us know. We're good. Yeah, I don't want to fall down the single coil rabbit hole. I don't want to do that. I want to spend the money on it. I don't want to go that way. I already know that, again, the Squire Parts Caster that Fern has awesome pickups in it. I hope that translates over to a full body as opposed to the smaller body Affinity that they came out of. But I think they will. There's no reason why they shouldn't. That would be an interesting thing in itself, between the body materials, the woods. Anyway, so I am going to edit that video talking about these earplugs. And I shot another video. I shot two today, like I was mentioning. Actually, I'm going to show you guys. I shot the first half of it. I got to shoot the B-roll of it, where I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to show you how to take these out, cut the leads, and solder this with these Q pickups. So I'll be doing that. It's going to be part one of me building that part caster. I'm going to go through it step by step, the wiring, the paint job, setting the neck, drilling that, doing all that. I'm going to do it in a 4-part, 5-part series. I need content for my channel. So I'm going to stretch that pancake out as far as I can. So, but I think you guys will find it interesting showing me just going through the process of building this and how it works out. I've got it all laid out in my head. Color, even the knobs color, the color of the pickups and all that against the pick guard, the color of the body with the neck and all those things, and sounds good in my head. But first things first is I do want to review these loop ear plugs, so I'll get this edited. Like I said, I just got them in yesterday. I shot them first thing today, so that I could get this out. It's been something I've been promising to do, so look forward to that. Little spiel before we close it up here, guys. I don't ask for donations. I don't have a PayPal account or whatever it is they have out there these days that people send money to, donations to. I don't ask for super chats. I don't have the YouTube chat account or whatever it is. I don't even know what it is because I haven't looked at it. Because I seek your support through going to my Bandcamp page. Go to bandcamp.com and look up my band Asinoki and purchase one of those or both of the albums that you'll see displayed there. It supports the channel directly because I get paid immediately when that money comes through on those, and that's fantastic as opposed to waiting for YouTube to pay me, which can take months. I get paid once a quarter from YouTube. Bandcamp pays immediately. And I'm giving you something that's a quality project for your quality hard-earned dollars or pounds or yen or whatever that is. So if you haven't done so, and you can buy singles as well, and you're free to preview it a few times. I set it so you can preview it a few times before you do purchase. But if you do want to support this channel, do that. Go to Bandcamp. Take a look at, some of you guys have already done it, and thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying it if you're listening to it. If you've been listening to it, I'd love to hear feedback from you, what your favorite tracks are from those of you out there in the community who have supported me by purchasing one of those albums or some of those tracks. You can buy single tracks as well, so there's that. It's, relatively inexpensive way to support me as well. So if you do that, that's how I'd like you to support this channel. First of all, it gets you to hear my music, learn a little bit about me through what I'm here for, to talk about, and also to, keep this channel going so that I can buy new lights and then stands like these. I went after that mishap last Wednesday. I went out and bought a new clip and stand, and this is really pro looking. It's really nice, and it's going to work. But it supports me in that way, and that is greatly appreciated. So please do so. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this one up for tonight. I will see you again, God willing, this Wednesday, same time, same bat channel. Again, look forward to coming up here, my review of the Loop earplugs. I think that's worth checking out. Yeah, man, keep you guys self in one piece, safe and sound, and all that good stuff. And we will talk again here coming up. And God bless. Thank you guys so much for showing up and taking the time to watch Sunday at Mike, our live stream tonight. Thank you guys again for taking part of your hard earned time, free time to listen to me babble. It's always appreciated. You guys take care. Oyasamina Sai, wherever you are. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. You guys take care. Bye bye.